Tasting Tuesday, episode 3, coming at you. I have Costa Rican and Honduras. Here's what I figured out in the last 2 episodes that we've done. I spend a lot of time breaking down how we get to this and not a lot of time talking about the actual tastings, and that doesn't really make sense for a Tasting Tuesday. We're going to start today's episode straight tasting. Stop the brewing process by just kind of giving it a little swirl. Now we're going to get this layer of grinds that are still kind of sitting on top. I'll get this one as well. They are both Central American, and this looks disgusting. I gotta clean up my station. Lisa's gonna kill me if she walks in. It's all done like this. You know, one thing that I really like doing is when somebody asks about a coffee is kind of going through the history of this specific coffee. So that's what we're gonna do today. So this specific Costa Rican is called Don Roberto, and it grows in the, I'm gonna say this completely wrong because I'm not very good at Spanish, but it grows in the Tarazu, like the accents over the U, so I know you got to emphasize that part of the word, region in Costa Rica. It's south of San Jose, which is the capital of Costa Rica. And what's nice about this is that it's actually a blend from a lot of different producers in that region. The reason that they work, I believe it's like 1,000 farmers and whatnot in this specific region, and they all kind of pull their beans together. And the reason they do that is to create a consistent blend every single time. Because if you have 1,000 farmers, each independently growing their coffee, you're not going to have a lot of coffee produced by each specific farmer. So they all kind of combine all their beans into one and split the profits. It's a common practice among a lot of coffee growing farms around the world. It's kind of nice in case one farm doesn't have a good growing season and the other one does, because the next year that farm could have a bad growing season and this one has a good one. So all the farmers, they have kind of a community aspect and they help each other grow the coffee culture, for example, in Costa Rica. The history of this specific Costa Rican coffee is that in 1928, a brother and a sister started a coffee farm in Tarazu and grew it and then sold it to a guy named Don Roberto, which is what this coffee is named after. And he grew it huge, got a whole bunch of different farmers. As he grew, he kind of brought in different farmers and different farms to kind of help and grow together so they weren't all competing with each other. And by doing that, he was able to kind of create the cupping notes that we know today. And it's a pretty well-known region of Costa Rica for coffee, this Tarazu region, this Don Roberto specifically. And I'm not going to go into the cupping notes because we'll go into that next. But yeah, so that's the history of this Costa Rica. Now this Honduras is called Honduras La Campa, and it grows in it's some mountain over in the west part of I can never remember it, hang on. Cerro Las Minas. Again, Spanish, terrible, I apologize. But it's the tallest mountain in Honduras, and it's in western Honduras. And what it is this is also 7 producers coming together to create this wonderful Honduras coffee. And I was actually talking to our importer about these producers, and he gave me kind of a breakdown of the 7 producers and kind of who they are, which is kind of nice. I'm not going to go through all, but like for example, you have Efrain Perez, who started out with like 1.5 hectares, and started planting his own coffee trees, and then got married and then had 3 sons and really wanted them to learn the education of coffee. You have Catalina Perez, who's 42 years old right now. She was born in a small town. There were a lot of little coffee plantations around her town where she grew up in. And as a girl, she dreamed of having a big estate farm and being recognized as a high quality coffee producer. So she worked hard her entire life to do that. Nice. One thing as a coffee roaster is you want to know the history of where your coffee's coming from and who's really growing it. And so, yeah. So I kind of wanted to share that with you guys because I don't know. I find that interesting and I want you to find that interesting. And coffee is about at cupping temperature, so let's get into it. Where's my spoons? Got my spoons. So let's start with Costa Rica. Let's see what we pull out immediately. Little spoonful, and then we slurp to get it all over our taste buds. Immediately I got bright notes. It was, what's that aftertaste? That was nice. So it's a very bright coffee, this Costa Rican. A little bit of citrus, but that's good. That's a nice, like, bright cup of coffee. All right, here we go. And let's get some Honduras. It's heavier right off the bat. And it's got a more kind of a fruitier taste. It's not as bright. It's kind of more, I don't want to say dirty. Dirty's not the right word to describe coffee. It kind of sometimes is, especially if you're in a French press. But that one had a grind in it. Sometimes you do that. You don't get all the grinds. It's kind of more fuller bodied, not as bright and citrusy as you get with this Costa Rican here. But still like a good, solid cup of coffee. That was another grind. What am I doing? Do I not know what I'm doing? Probably. Fun fact about Honduras is I was actually supposed to go to Honduras in March of this year for a roasting thing. I was going to go down for a week, meet a lot of coffee farmers, taste their coffee on site, like do cupping on site, see the growing process, because I've never really seen that in depth is what I was going to do. But then, of course, the coronavirus hit and my trip got canceled. And I was really upset about that because I was really looking forward to Honduras coffee. I was talking to Jill. Jill is one of our regulars here. Shout out to Jill. Hi, how you doing? We talked today. And she wanted me to mention my favorite out of Costa Rican and out of Honduras. I don't have a favorite. Okay, well, that's a lie. I do. My favorite's Costa Rican. Like, just so we're clear, because I like honesty here, Costa Rican's my favorite. It's not that Honduras is bad. It's Costa Rican's been in my life longer, and out of these two, I've actually been to Costa Rica. Because my trip was canceled to Honduras, I was never able to go there, so I don't have any, like, good fun memories of like, being in Honduras and trying this, and I don't have that, but I have that with Costa Rica. So if I had to choose a favorite, I'd say Costa Rica, but don't let that discourage you from this berry-filled Honduras, which is very good. Another fun fact about Honduras, I know I'm full of fun facts today, was the first time I tried Honduras was a couple of years ago. I was at another coffee shop in Phoenix. I know, shh, don't tell anybody. And I asked them what they had on tap, and they had a Honduras coffee. I'd never had Honduras before. I was growing my palate at that time, and I was getting kind of somewhat confident with being able to pull out specific notes, not to like the complexity that I can now, but I was starting to kind of figure out this is what a full-bodied coffee tastes like versus a medium body, or this is citrus versus chocolate. And I tried Honduras, and immediately I knew exactly what the flavor was, but it was a fruit. But for the life of me, I couldn't remember the name of the fruit. I had the picture in my head of what this fruit was, but I couldn't remember. And you know what it was? It was apricot or apricots. See, this is how much I don't eat this fruit. I don't know how to say it. Here are the coffees for you. Two Central Americans going head to head. Costa Rican, Honduras. Costa Rican, remember, it's medium bodied, it's bright, it's citrusy, it's just a good cup of coffee, a little bit of acidity, which you would get from the citrus tones. And then you got Honduras, a little bit more mellow, more full-bodied. I'd still consider this a medium-bodied, but it's a little bit more full than what Costa Rican is. Much more calmer than the crazy party of whatever is happening in Costa Rica right now. That's what I got. Episode 3 of Tasting Tuesday done. I'll see you guys next week. We have these ready to go. Oh, I got to show you the tags so you know what to look for. There we go. Okay. It's Costa Rican right there. Boom. Honduras La Campa. Look for these two tags. They're up front. You can buy the coffee. It's delicious. It's good. I apologize again about my Spanish because I'm not very good at it, but I hope I got the point across with the names. So, there's that. All right, I'm going out of here. So, enjoy the coffee.